Joseph had a dream. "Listen to this dream I had," he said. "We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more. Then Joseph had another dream. "Listen, I had another dream, and this time the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." Before we go further, kindly let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Thanks you. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him. "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous, but his father kept the matter in mind. One day, Joseph's brothers were grazing their flocks near Shechem. Jacob sent Joseph to check on them. When they saw him in the distance, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." But Reuben said, "Let's not take his life. Throw him into this cistern, but don't lay a hand on him." So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it. As they sat down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Judah said, "What will we gain if we kill our brother? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites." So they pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver. The Ishmaelites took him to Egypt. The brothers took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took it back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." Jacob recognized it. "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. But Joseph was not dead. He was on his way to Egypt, and God was with him. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. The Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in everything he did. Potiphar saw this and put Joseph in charge of his household. But Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph. He was well-built and handsome. She said, "Come to bed with me." But Joseph refused. "How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" One day, she caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. In fury, she lied to her husband. "That Hebrew slave you brought tried to make sport of me." Potiphar burned with anger. He took Joseph and put him in prison. But even in prison, the Lord was with Joseph. The warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison. Two of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were imprisoned. Both had dreams on the same night. Joseph interpreted them. The cupbearer would be restored to his position in 3 days. The baker would be executed in 3 days. And it happened just as Joseph said. But the cupbearer forgot about Joseph. 2 full years passed. Then Pharaoh had 2 dreams that no one could interpret. The cupbearer remembered Joseph. "There is a young Hebrew in the dungeon who can interpret dreams." So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought from the dungeon. He shaved and changed his clothes and came before Pharaoh. "I had a dream," Pharaoh said. "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek. After them, 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows. Then I had another dream. 7 heads of grain, full and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads." What does it mean? Joseph said, "The dreams are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows and 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. But 7 years of famine will follow them. The abundance in the land will not be remembered. The famine will be so severe it will ravage the land. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners to take 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 years of abundance. This food should be held in reserve for the 7 years of famine. Otherwise the country will be ruined." The plan seemed good to Pharaoh. "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh. The slave had become second only to the king. The 7 years of abundance came. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years and stored it in the cities. The 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." The famine was severe everywhere. So all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph. Back in Canaan, Jacob heard that there was grain in Egypt. He said to his sons, "Go down and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's younger brother, for fear that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. He remembered his dreams. "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We were 12 brothers, sons of one man. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph said, "It is just as I told you. You are spies. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison. Then I will know whether you are telling the truth." He put them all in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said, "If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me." They did not realize that Joseph could understand them, for he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them and began to weep. Then he turned back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken and bound before their eyes. The brothers returned to Jacob. "Simeon is being held. The man who is lord over the land said we must take Benjamin back with us." Jacob said, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin." But the famine was still severe. Finally, Judah said to his father, "Send the boy along with me. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible. If I do not bring him back, I will bear the blame before you all my life." So the men took Benjamin and double the amount of silver and hurried down to Egypt. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my house." Joseph gave them a feast. But before they left, he gave orders. "Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack." They left. They had not gone far when Joseph said to his steward, "Go after those men at once. Ask them, 'Why have you repaid good with evil?'" When the steward caught up with them, he repeated these words. The brothers were shocked. "If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die?" A search was made, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. They tore their clothes in grief. They all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house. They threw themselves to the ground before him. "What have you done?" Joseph said. Judah said, "What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are now your slaves. Only the man who was found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you, go back to your father in peace." Then Judah went up to him and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord. Please let me speak." My lord asked his servants, "Do you have a father or a brother?" And we answered, "We have an aged father, and there is a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Our father said, 'If harm comes to him, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow.' Now then, please let your servant remain here as my lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I cannot bear to see the misery that would come on my father." Joseph could no longer control himself. He cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were terrified. They could not answer him. Joseph said, "Come close to me. I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God. Go back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me, you, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there, because 5 years of famine are still to come. His brothers wept with him. They embraced. The past was forgiven. The hatred was healed. What was meant for evil, God had used for good. When the news reached Pharaoh's palace, Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers to load their animals and return to Canaan. Get your father and come back. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt. Joseph gave them carts and provisions. To each of them he gave new clothing. But to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 sets of clothes. Then he sent his brothers away. The brothers returned to their father Jacob in Canaan. Joseph is still alive. They shouted. In fact, he is ruler of all Egypt. Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. But when they told him everything Joseph had said, and when he saw the carts Joseph had sent, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. I'm convinced. My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. So Israel set out with all that was his. God spoke to Israel in a vision at night. Jacob, Jacob, here I am. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down to Egypt with you, and I will surely bring you back again. Jacob left Beersheba, and Israel's sons took their father Jacob and their children and their wives in the carts that Pharaoh had sent. They also took with them their livestock and the possessions they had acquired in Canaan. Jacob and all his offspring went to Egypt. When they arrived in Goshen, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went to meet his father Israel. As soon as Joseph appeared before him, he threw his arms around his father and wept for a long time. Israel said to Joseph, now I am ready to die, since I have seen for myself that you are still alive. Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt and gave them property in the best part of the land, the district of Ramesses. Joseph also provided his father and his brothers and all his father's household with food. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years. When the time drew near for Israel to die, he called for his son Joseph. Do not bury me in Egypt, he said. When I rest with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me where they are buried. I will do as you say, Joseph said. Swear to me. Then Joseph swore to him. Jacob gathered all his sons and blessed them. Each one he blessed with an appropriate blessing. Then he gave them instructions and said, I am about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers. When Jacob had finished giving instructions, he drew his feet up into the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Joseph threw himself on his father and wept over him and kissed him. Then Joseph directed the physicians to embalm his father Israel. The Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. When the days of mourning had passed, Joseph spoke to Pharaoh's court. My father made me swear an oath. He said, I am about to die. Bury me in the tomb I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. Now let me go up and bury my father. Then I will return. Go up and bury your father, Pharaoh said. So Joseph went up to bury his father. All Pharaoh's officials accompanied him. It was a very large company. After burying his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, together with his brothers and all the others who had gone with him. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, what if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him? So they sent word to Joseph, saying, your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father. When their message came to him, Joseph wept. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. We are your slaves, they said. But Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. Joseph stayed in Egypt, along with all his father's family. He lived 110 years and saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will surely come to your aid and take you up out of this land to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Joseph made the Israelites swear an oath and said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. So Joseph died at the age of 110, and after they embalmed him, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt. But his words echoed through the generations. God will surely come to your aid. One day, the people of Israel would leave Egypt. One day, they would be slaves crying out for deliverance. One day, God would raise up a deliverer, a man who would be drawn from the water, a man who would confront Pharaoh, a man who would lead them through the Red Sea. His name would be Moses, and the promise would continue. From the dust of creation to the Garden of Eden, from the flood to the Tower of Babel, from Abraham's call to Isaac's near sacrifice, from Jacob's wrestling to Joseph's rise from the pit to the palace. This is Genesis, the beginning of all things, the origin of sin, the promise of redemption. Every story, every betrayal, every trial was leading somewhere, leading to a people, leading to a nation, leading to a Savior. For what began in a garden would one day be finished on a cross. What was lost through one man's disobedience would be redeemed through another man's obedience. The seed promised to Eve, the child promised to Abraham, the blessing given to Jacob, the dreams given to Joseph, all of it was pointing forward, pointing to the one who would crush the serpent's head, the one who would be the true sacrifice on the mountain, the one who would be lifted up so that all who believe might have eternal life. This is not just ancient history. This is your heritage. This is your story. The same God who spoke light into darkness, who walked with Adam, who saved Noah, who called Abraham, who wrestled with Jacob, who preserved Joseph, that same God is calling you today. He has not changed. His promises have not failed. And just as he was faithful to every generation before, he will be faithful to you. If you've been moved by this story, if something stirred in your heart, don't let this moment pass. Share this video. Let others discover the power of Genesis. Subscribe to this channel because this story doesn't end here. The greatest chapters are still to come. From Egypt to the Exodus. From slavery to freedom. From the wilderness to the promised land. This is only the beginning. 2 videos will appear on your screen in just a moment. If you want to know what happened in the world before the flood, if you want to see how falling angels dominated and corrupted the world, watch the Nephilim, the true story of giants. And if you want to see another incredible hidden story of the Book of Enoch, hidden dangers of angels and giants. 2 powerful stories. Choose one and keep going deeper into the hidden stories about the world. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the very end. May God bless you. May He open your eyes to see His hand in your own story. And may you never forget that from the very beginning, He has always had a plan for redemption, a plan for restoration, a plan that includes you. Go in peace. Walk in faith. And remember the promise. God will surely come to your aid. Amen.